Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be diving into something a little different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a list.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's called Top 10 Finest Women on Earth
Ooh.
from the Top 10's website.
Yeah.
But before we get into this whole crowning the queen of beauty,
Sure.
let's just get one thing clear.
Yeah.
Beauty is so subjective, and this is more about exploring, how different people define and perceive beauty.
I see. So we're looking at the criteria
Yeah.
and how different people are kind of reacting to that and who they find attractive.
Right. And I mean, it's interesting because they explicitly said that they excluded traditional divas,
Okay.
like Halle Berry was mentioned.
Oh, wow. So we're already starting with some exclusions.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder,
It does.
what makes a diva traditional anyway?
What are we even talking about here?
Right. But before we go down that rabbit hole,
Yeah, let's keep it on the list.
let's look at the criteria that they actually did use.
Okay.
Feminine features, shape, not fat or skinny, facial features, maintenance, and uniqueness.
All right. So, I mean, some of those are pretty classic criteria,
Yeah.
but some of them are very vague.
Yeah, very vague.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But let's start with the top three.
All right, drum roll, please.
Uh-huh.
In first place, we have K.S. Chitra,
Okay.
who is an Indian singer.
An Indian singer.
And then it's Jessica Alba
Uh-huh.
and Shakira.
Ooh, international.
Yeah, right off the bat, we've got some international representation,
Yeah, that's nice.
which is really cool.
Instead of the usual, just like Hollywood focus. I mean, it challenges the idea that there's one, universally accepted standard of beauty, which,
Yeah.
let's be honest,
Right.
is often like very Western media influence.
So, okay, let's unpack some of the comments
Right.
for these top three.
Okay.
For K.S. Chitra, it is a love fest. People are praising her legendary beauty, her pretty smile, calling her the most unique and natural beauty.
Okay. All very positive.
Very positive. But I did notice something interesting. A lot of the comments also mention her voice.
Ah, so her talent is being
Mm.
factored in.
Yeah.
I see. So it seems like for a lot of people,
Yeah.
her talent as a singer
Yeah.
is actually enhancing how beautiful they find her.
Exactly. Like her
It's
music.
like radiating outwards.
Yeah, her inner beauty
Yeah.
makes her even more attractive.
Almost like they're intertwined.
Right.
Okay.
Which makes you wonder if we subconsciously associate talent and passion with beauty.
Oh, that's a good point, maybe.
Yeah, like they're connected somehow.
Yeah.
Now, for Jessica Alba,
Okay.
some are calling her a goddess, but there is also some pushback on her ranking.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
with some suggesting that she should be lower on the list.
So, I mean, that just shows
Yeah,
beauty is totally in the eye of the beholder.
all right.
What one person finds absolutely stunning. Someone else might find just average or even not attractive.
Yeah,
So it's all about individual experiences and
Yeah.
cultural backgrounds, even like our mood at the moment.
totally. And then we have Shakira.
Oh, Shakira. Wow.
The comments get a little spicy.
Ooh.
People love her dancing skills,
Right.
call her gorgeous, but there's also criticism of her singing.
Okay.
One commenter said, "I don't like her. She can't sing, but she is very pretty."
Oh, wow.
And it makes you wonder, can you really separate the art from the artist like that? Especially when you're judging something as subjective as beauty.
I think that's a great question.
Yeah.
Because it really highlights the complexity of how we make judgments about beauty.
Right?
Are we assessing Shakira's beauty like in isolation?
Yeah.
Or are we also unconsciously factoring in our opinions about her music?
Yeah.
And then what about other factors like her personality or her stage presence?
Yeah.
It's really tricky.
It's so tricky.
Okay, so we've got subjective opinions. We've got cultural influences.
Yeah.
We've got talent potentially playing a role.
Yeah.
This is getting complicated.
This is getting deep. And speaking of going deep,
Right.
there's one comment in particular
Okay.
about Beyonce,
Beyonce.
who is lower on the list that I have to bring up because
Okay.
it takes this whole conversation to a different level.
Oh, boy. Beyonce.
Yeah.
Guaranteed to spark some strong opinions. Always.
What did they say?
Okay, so this commenter, while praising Jessica Biel,
Interesting.
referred to Beyonce as an ugly, unattractive thing.
Wow.
Now, let's be clear.
Yeah.
That kind of language is completely unacceptable
Totally agree.
and has no place in any conversation.
Right.
But it unfortunately reflects a darker side
It does.
of these online discussions where beauty becomes a weapon.
Right, because it's so easy to hide behind anonymity
Yeah.
and say things that you would never say to someone's face.
Right. And it's a stark contrast
It is.
to like the comments that we saw for Chitra.
Yeah. Where her beauty was like almost universally praised.
Like almost like celebratory.
Yeah.
And then here we have something
Mhm.
much more negative and vitriolic.
It makes you wonder, is there something about Beyonce,
Yeah.
her global fame,
Uh-huh.
her power, her race,
Yeah.
that makes her more of a target for this kind of vitriol?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah.
And it also makes you wonder, like, how do we
Yeah.
as a society move towards a more inclusive
Yeah.
and respectful way of talking about beauty?
Right, because those are tough questions.
Yeah.
And I think they're really essential to consider.
I agree, because it's not just about, ranking women based on looks.
Right.
It's about how those rankings can actually reflect
Yeah.
and perpetuate like larger societal biases and prejudices.
We can't ignore the fact that women, especially women of color, are often held to different and more stringent beauty standards.
Yeah, and then when they challenge those standards,
Okay.
whether intentionally or just by existing,
Yeah.
the backlash can be so intense.
It's tough.
And a lot of times that backlash plays out online,
Of course, yeah.
where, anonymity emboldens people
Yeah.
to make comments that they would never say face to face.
Right.
And that creates this really toxic environment
Yeah.
that can have
Yeah.
real world consequences for women's self-esteem and mental health.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
And it makes you wonder
Yeah.
if these top 10 lists,
Yeah.
even with good intentions,
Yeah.
ultimately do more harm than good.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, but maybe
Yeah,
by
right.
analyzing them,
Right.
like picking apart the criteria and the comments,
Yeah.
we can start to understand and challenge those dynamics.
I think you're right. I think by shining a light on
Yeah.
these ingrained biases
Right.
and having like these open and honest conversations,
Yeah.
we can move towards a more nuanced and compassionate
Yeah.
understanding of beauty.
Totally. So moving on from
Some of those darker aspects.
No. Yep.
I did notice something else on the list that I found intriguing.
Okay, what is that?
So it includes
Yeah.
2 older actresses,
Okay.
Ursula Andress
Ursula Andress. Okay.
and Anita Page.
Interesting.
So it made me think about this whole concept of timeless beauty.
Timeless beauty. Yes.
And I think it's really refreshing to see
I agree.
women who are celebrated for their elegance and sophistication,
Yeah.
regardless of their age.
It's a nice change.
It's a nice change.
Mm.
And it's definitely a pushback against the ageism
It's huge pushback.
that is so prevalent in Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, so often women's worth is tied to their youthfulness.
Totally. And I just, it made me wonder if there's a growing appreciation for beauty that isn't defined by wrinkles or gray hair.
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we are starting to recognize beauty that comes with experience,
Yeah.
wisdom, a life well lived.
Exactly. And I think,
And as society evolves,
yeah, our ideals of beauty also have to evolve.
they do. Yeah.
And the internet,
Yeah.
for all its flaws,
Yeah.
it can be a platform for showcasing
Totally.
a wider range of perspectives
Right.
and challenging traditional norms.
Yeah. Speaking of challenging norms,
Okay.
I was also intrigued by the
Okay.
newcomers and contenders sections.
Okay.
They feature women like Lisa Ray and Constance Marie.
Oh, cool. So we're expanding a little bit.
Yeah. It's like they're saying, hey, there's more to beauty than just...
Right. Beyond mainstream celebrity.
Exactly.
It's a reminder that beauty exists in all corners of the world,
Totally.
in diverse communities,
Yeah.
among people who might not fit like the stereotypical mold.
Right.
It's a vast and multifaceted concept.
Yes.
You can't confine it to a single list
All right.
or a narrow set of criteria.
It's like they're saying,
Yeah.
hey, there's more to beauty than meets the eye.
Yeah. And speaking of things that don't quite meet the eye,
Yeah.
remember at the beginning how they said they were excluding traditional divas?
Yes.
Well, Halle Berry pops up in the comments,
Oh, wow.
but she's not on the main list.
Okay.
So that circles back to our initial question.
Right.
What exactly makes someone a diva in this context?
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Right? Is it her confidence,
Uh-huh.
her accomplishments,
Yeah.
her outspokenness,
Mm.
or maybe like a certain level of mystique?
Right. And how does that label, like, diva,
Yeah.
impact how we perceive her beauty?
Exactly.
Does it make her more or less attractive?
Yeah.
Does it even matter?
Good questions. Good question.
I feel like we're just scratching the surface
I know, right?
of a really deep conversation here.
Definitely. And in our next segment, we'll dive even deeper.
Yes.
We'll explore how online commentary,
Yeah.
societal expectations, and even like subconscious biases
Right.
shape our perceptions of beauty.
So stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned.
Yeah, because we're just getting started. Okay, so we've established beauty is subjective,
Definitely.
deeply personal, and can be influenced by so many factors.
Yeah.
From like, talent and cultural background to sadly some pretty negative biases.
Unfortunately.
But I want to kind of dive back into these comments
You go.
because I think they reveal even more about
Yeah.
how we perceive and judge attractiveness,
Okay.
especially when it comes to women
Yeah.
who challenge conventional norms.
Right. Those who kind of break the mold.
Yeah, and one woman who
Yeah.
consistently sparks debate is Serena Williams.
Oh, Serena. Yeah.
Some of the comments
Yeah.
celebrate her strength and athleticism,
Yeah.
calling her like the most womanly woman on earth.
Oh, wow.
But others focus on her physique in a way
Right.
that feels
Yeah.
a little less than respectful.
I see. So it's like people are struggling to
Yeah.
reconcile her power
Right.
and athleticism
Oh.
with these traditional notions of femininity.
Yeah. And she breaks the mold.
She does.
And that seems to make some people uncomfortable.
Right, because it challenges the existing categories.
It really does. And it exposes this like fundamental tension in how we view
Yeah.
female athletes.
Right.
There's this expectation that they should be strong,
Okay.
competitive,
Yeah.
but also maintain a certain
Right.
level of conventional attractiveness.
Exactly. And Serena,
Yeah.
this powerful,
Yeah.
successful Black woman,
Right.
she just defies those easy categorizations.
She does.
So, I mean, it makes sense that there's a mix of reactions.
Right. And that defiance seems to
Yeah.
trigger
Yeah.
both admiration and, sadly, some pretty harsh criticism.
Right. It's a reminder that we still have a long way to go
Yes.
in terms of accepting and celebrating diverse body types,
Totally.
especially for women of color.
Right. And it's not just about body type either.
Oh.
We also see how societal perceptions of women's behavior can also influence
Oh, interesting.
judgments about their beauty.
Okay.
For example,
Yeah.
there's a comment about Angelina Jolie
Okay.
that praises her
Yeah.
for changing from a bad girl to a fine, super classy lady.
Wow. So now being a good girl
Yeah.
makes you more attractive.
It feels like we're layering on all these expectations about how women should look,
Right.
act, and
Yeah.
even evolve over time.
It's like this implicit checklist for
Yeah.
how women should be.
Yeah.
And it seems like Jolie has checked off all those boxes
Right.
for this particular commenter.
It's so fascinating.
It is. It's a great example of how
Yeah.
our perceptions of someone's character
Yeah.
can actually influence how we perceive their beauty.
Makes you wonder if there's like a halo effect at play.
Oh, halo effect. Yeah.
Are we more likely to find someone attractive
Yeah.
if we admire their personality or their actions?
Oh, absolutely. That's a
Yeah.
well-documented psychological phenomenon.
Really?
Yeah. So positive qualities
Uh-huh.
like kindness,
Okay.
intelligence,
Huh?
even a strong moral compass
Okay.
can lead to an overall increase
Wow.
in perceived attractiveness.
That's fascinating.
It's what those inner qualities are shining outward
Right.
and enhancing their physical beauty.
Okay. So we've got the halo effect,
Yeah.
the influence of cultural norms,
Uh-huh.
the impact of talent and personality.
Right.
This is getting complex.
That's a lot.
But before we spiral
Huh.
down the rabbit hole of psychology,
Okay.
I want to address something else
Right.
that's been popping up
Hmm.
in these comments.
Okay.
The explicit sexualization
Oh,
of these women.
Yeah, you're right.
It's impossible to ignore.
It is.
The comments that reduce these women to their body parts
Right.
or focus solely on their perceived sex appeal.
Uh-huh.
For example,
Okay.
there's a comment about Alicia Keys
Okay.
where the commenter
Describes feeling compelled to hold out my tongue and lick my lips, smoking hot.
Wow, yeah, that's
Yeah.
a stark reminder of the objectification
Right.
that
Yeah.
women face.
Especially those in the entertainment industry.
Truly, and it's so frustrating because, Alicia Keys is an incredibly talented
Yeah.
musician, songwriter, producer, activist.
She's amazing.
Right, and yet this comment reduces her to, like, her curves
Yeah.
and her moves.
It's so dehumanizing.
It is. It's dehumanizing, and it completely misses the mark
Yeah.
on who she is as a person.
Right, and it just highlights this dangerous tendency
Yeah.
to prioritize physical attributes
Mhm.
over all other qualities.
Right.
And it's not just limited to celebrities either.
Oh, of course not.
It's like
Yeah.
women in all walks of life
Yeah.
are often judged and valued
Yeah.
based on their appearance.
And that can have a profound impact on their self-esteem and sense of worth.
Absolutely. It's like,
Yeah. We're constantly bombarded with these messages
Yeah.
about how women should look, and
Right.
those messages seep into our subconscious,
they do.
shaping our perceptions and judgment.
And sometimes we don't even realize it.
I know.
So it's really important to be aware of those subconscious biases so that we can actively challenge them.
Yeah.
And, we need to move beyond these narrow definitions of beauty
Yeah.
and embrace the diversity and the complexity of real women.
Well said.
Thank you.
And speaking of embracing diversity,
Okay.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the comments about Rebecca Ferguson.
Oh, Rebecca Ferguson.
Well, one person describes her as having
Yeah.
curves and extremely pretty and striking facial features.
Okay. So.
And it's interesting because it seems to go against
Uh-huh.
the often
Yeah.
slim and toned figures
Right.
we see celebrated in mainstream media.
Yeah, it's a crucial point you've hit on there.
Yeah.
This comment suggests a preference for a more voluptuous body type. And it really challenges the idea of a single dominant standard of beauty.
Yeah.
It reminds us that attractiveness comes in all shapes and sizes.
Totally.
And what one person finds appealing might be completely different from what someone else finds appealing.
Exactly. And it's like we're finally starting to acknowledge that beauty
Yeah.
doesn't come in a one-size-fits-all package,
Right.
which is incredibly encouraging.
It is,
But let's be real,
Yeah.
there's still plenty of comments that focus on
unfortunately.
narrow conventional beauty standards,
Well.
like the one about Nicole Scherzinger.
Okay.
Someone says, she is so fine, and she is the definition and the total embodiment of sexy.
I see. So we're still navigating a culture that often prioritizes
Yeah.
and rewards certain types of beauty
Yes.
over others.
It's a constant balancing act, isn't it?
It is a balancing act.
Trying to appreciate beauty in all its forms,
Yeah.
but also acknowledging
Yeah.
the harmful ways
Yeah.
in which it can be used to judge and categorize people.
And that's why these conversations are so important.
Yeah.
By unpacking these context issues,
Yeah.
examining our own biases,
Right.
challenging those narrow definitions of beauty,
Yes.
we can create a more inclusive
Yeah.
and empowering space for everyone.
Well said.
Thank you.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I kind of want to shift gears a bit
All right.
and focus on
Okay.
the men who contributed to this list.
The male perspective.
Yeah, because after all,
Yeah.
it's often their gaze
It often is.
that shapes and reinforces these beauty standards.
That's a great point.
So what can we learn from their perspectives?
So I think by analyzing the language that they use,
Okay.
the qualities they highlight,
Mm-hmm.
and the assumptions they make,
Yeah.
we can gain really valuable insights
Yeah.
into how societal norms and expectations influence
Yeah.
their perceptions of feminine beauty.
It'll be interesting to see if
Hey.
their comments align with or diverge from
Right.
the criteria
Yeah.
that were established by the list's creator. And maybe, just maybe,
Yeah.
we'll uncover some unexpected insights into what men truly find attractive.
Okay, let's dive in and see what we can discover.
Okay, so we're back and ready to unpack the male perspective on this finest women list.
All right.
I'm curious to see how their comments differ from what we've already talked about.
Yeah.
Where should we start?
Well, let's jump into the comments about Vita Guerra.
Vita Guerra. Okay.
She's described as coming from a new breed of models
Interesting.
known as video models,
Okay.
which I think already hints at like a shift in how beauty is being consumed
Yeah.
and perceived.
Then the comments definitely reflect that shift.
Yeah.
One guy calls Vita a dollar
Uh-huh.
in a world of dimes.
I like that.
Another says, by far the sexiest and most beautiful.
Okay.
And it seems like her appeal goes beyond just
Yeah.
static photographs.
Yeah.
There's something about her on-screen presence.
Right. It's not just the image. It's like personality charisma.
Yeah, like a certain energy.
Exactly. And that might not be captured in a still image.
Right. It's like we're moving beyond like
Yeah.
the airbrushed perfection of magazine covers
Totally.
and embracing like a more dynamic, multi-dimensional view of beauty.
And I think that makes me think about
Yeah.
how social media is influencing our perceptions of attractiveness.
Totally, because we're constantly bombarded with
Yeah.
videos and reels and stories
Right.
that showcase people
Yeah.
in motion,
Yeah.
expressing themselves,
Yeah.
interacting with the world.
It's a whole different way of experiencing beauty.
It is. It's no longer just about achieving
Right.
like a flawless look.
Exactly. It's more about
Yeah.
capturing a vibe,
Yeah.
a feeling, an essence.
And that can be incredibly empowering
It can't.
for individuals who maybe don't
Right.
fit the traditional mold,
Yeah.
but who exude confidence and authenticity.
Absolutely.
Okay, back to the comments.
All right, let's hear it.
One guy says
Mhm.
about Vita,
Okay.
it would be an honor for her to be my baby mama.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm not sure baby mama is the most respectful term,
Right.
but it does suggest a certain level of,
A certain level of admiration.
yeah, admiration. Let's go with that.
I mean, it's a comment that raises questions about
Yeah.
the intersection of beauty and perceived reproductive fitness.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's like there's this primal instinct at play
Okay.
where certain physical features
Mhm.
are associated with
Like,
health, fertility, the ability to bear children.
wow, evolutionary psychology in action.
Uh-huh. Right.
But is it even appropriate to
Yeah.
bring that kind of thinking into
Yeah.
a discussion about beauty? It feels reductive.
Yeah. You're right to question that. It's
Yeah.
crucial to be mindful
Yes.
of the potential for these subconscious biases
Yeah.
to influence our perceptions.
Totally.
And reducing a woman's worth to her perceived reproductive potential is just not only disrespectful,
Mm-hmm. Right.
but also perpetuates harmful stereotypes.
Agreed. Let's move on to someone
Okay.
who definitely defies easy categorization.
Okay.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Rebecca Ferguson. Okay.
One comment highlights
Yeah.
her curves and extremely pretty and striking facial features.
Okay. Interesting.
And it's interesting because it seems to go against the
Yeah.
often slim and toned figures we see,
Right. The very typical
Yeah.
body type.
celebrated in mainstream media.
Right. It's a refreshing departure from those
Yeah.
often very narrow and unrealistic
Yes.
beauty standards.
That dominate our culture.
It suggests a growing appreciation for diverse body types,
Yeah.
including those that are more curvy and voluptuous.
And that aligns with what we're seeing
It does.
in fashion.
Yeah.
With more brands embracing body positivity
Absolutely.
and showcasing models of different
Yeah.
sizes and shapes.
It's a slow but steady shift
It is.
towards a more inclusive and accepting
Yeah.
view of beauty.
It's
It is encouraging.
but it's important to remember
Yeah.
that representation alone isn't enough.
Right. We need to challenge the underlying
Yes.
biases and systems
Yeah.
that perpetuate these narrow beauty standards.
Well said. And speaking of challenging norms,
Okay.
I'm reminded of the comment about Angelina Jolie,
Angelina Jolie.
praising her for changing from a bad girl to a fine, super classy lady.
It's like her transformation
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
this rebellious figure
Right.
to a more philanthropic
Yeah.
and maternal role has somehow enhanced
Right.
her attractiveness in this commenter's eyes.
It ties back
It
to
does.
that idea of the halo effect.
Yes, where positive qualities in one area of life,
Yeah.
morality, kindness, social responsibility,
Yeah.
can lead to an overall increase in perceived attractiveness.
It's like those virtuous actions
Yeah.
radiate outward.
It's like an aura
Yeah.
and enhance her physical beauty.
It makes you wonder if we're
Yeah.
subconsciously drawn to people who embody certain values or who make us feel like
Yeah.
we're aligning ourselves with something good.
It's a fascinating concept.
It is.
It suggests that beauty isn't just about
Right.
superficial appearances, but it's also about
Yeah.
the qualities we admire and aspire to.
Okay, so we've got evolutionary psychology,
Yeah.
subconscious biases,
Yeah.
the halo effect.
Right.
This is getting deep.
This is a deep dive.
But before we wrap things up,
Okay.
I want to address
Yeah.
the elephant in the room,
Okay.
or rather the comments that are
Right.
maybe a little too focused
Okay.
on the, shall we say, physical aspects of attraction.
Right. It's important to acknowledge that
Yeah.
while attraction is a natural and often visceral experience,
Mm-hmm.
there's a line between appreciation and objectification.
Yes, and some of these comments
And some of them.
definitely cross that line.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Like the one about Nicole Scherzinger,
Okay, the Nicole Scherzinger.
where someone just says, she's very sexy, she gives me an erection.
Oh my
I mean, I appreciate the honesty, but
Come on, man.
can we at least acknowledge that she's a talented singer?
Sure. A performer.
Right? It's a reminder
Yeah.
that we need to be mindful of how we express
Uh-huh.
our attraction and to avoid reducing women to just their body parts.
Yes.
Or their ability to elicit a physical response.
It's about respecting
It is.
their full humanity,
Yes.
their talents, their accomplishments, and their individuality.
And recognizing that true beauty
Yes.
encompasses so much more than just physical attributes.
Beautifully said, and I think
Yes.
that's a perfect note to end on.
Okay.
We've covered so much ground in this deep dive,
Rehab.
exploring the complexities of beauty,
Yeah.
the impact of societal norms, the influence of online commentary,
Right.
and the importance of challenging our own biases.
Absolutely.
So, dear listener,
Yeah.
what does this all mean for you?
Right. If you were to create your own
Yeah.
top 10 finest women list, what criteria would you use?
What qualities
Yeah.
beyond just physical appearance would you prioritize?
Would you consider kindness,
Yeah.
intelligence, humor?
Creativity, resilience?
Right.
Maybe a combination of all these traits?
Yeah, it's a question worth pondering.
It is.
And we encourage you to reflect on your own personal definition of beauty.
Absolutely. And remember, beauty is not a competition.
It's not.
It's a celebration
Yeah.
of the unique qualities
Right.
that make each individual special.
So let's embrace the diversity of beauty in all its forms.
And foster a culture of appreciation
Yeah.
that empowers everyone to shine.
Until next time.
Yes.
Keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.
And keep those thought-provoking questions coming.
We love those.
See you on our next deep dive.